What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Raven here with Colin and Joe, the Rune Knight. And it was so nice we had to do it twice. We're talking about Chalt Part 2, by the way. Currently vaping strawberry kiwi in my vape and currently drinking Irish breakfast tea with honey. So
I in fact have sad news to report on the deliciousness front. While I am drinking my salted caramel hot chocolate, I could not do the special Chalt burger I wanted to do today.
well, that's okay because we do still have the recipe. But
Excellent.
I had to catch up on some sleep. I didn't cook a damn thing.
I was going to do the Chalt burger, but I could not find my food coloring because as nice as it is, we all know the Chalt burger has to look exotic. It has to be Chalt.
It has to be very colorful.
Yeah.
A psychedelic creation unto itself.
Right. If I couldn't, and it's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this halfway and just leave it
No.
there.
We have
Also, Wolfgar, I blame you because of that little joke we were making at the beginning of the just before the beginning of the show. Because now I want to do a awful combination of Chalt and Surf Nazis Must Die.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Chalt is full of pop culture references, so Troma is definitely pop culture reference all day, every day.
Oh, I have exactly 2 Chalt campaigns I want to run. The first is a straight up loving homage to Thundercats. Because I just want to put Mumra in the Black Pyramid and send adventurers to fight him. I don't care if it's obvious.
I just want Katara to be slutty just once.
Oh yeah, no. But the other thing is, I'm gonna show my inner weeb here for a minute. I want to do an Isekai meets Dark Sun on Chalt. I just want to drop a bunch of time displaced Japanese high school students onto Chalt and have them be sweet and innocent and get kidnapped by Chalt slavers.
You mean Stevers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of like the level 1 of that game.
Right.
Is like the first thing that happens is you're crossing it's like the tavern thing. You're crossing the desert. You're down to your last water. You see slavers on the horizon, and then like that's how you meet the rest of the party members, and then you escape.
A couple of years ago, I came across a series. When I name it, everyone knows it. It's sleazy trash, but it was fun. High School of the Dead, right? And everyone knows exactly what that is. It's what if a George Romero zombie apocalypse with big titty anime high school students, right? And it's actually halfway decent, right? So like if I was gonna Chalt it up, I would do the exact same structure, but I'd play it straight. So it would be a practical, you step out of a portal and now you're in the desert in your school uniform. God, it's hot, and you have no water, right? Do all the normal practice, kind of ease your players into, okay, this is going to be like a grim Fallout style survival. And then the leather-clad Bondo skeevers find you and are like, get in the cage. It's like, oh crap.
and here's the thing. I really wanted to bring this up because like just kicking off this show, and we got people in here already. We got Hello everybody.
Oh man, this layout's deluxe. I didn't even realize you guys could get live chat in this. Cool.
Oh yeah, we got live chat here.
Cthulhu Vikings.
Hey Patty.
Of course, we got Patty. We got Captain Graybeard. Got Wheelan in here. Nice. And by the way, the shirt sales, get your overpriced T-shirt for Nerd Cognito. I got mine. It's on the way. And speaking of T-shirts, I'll get back to my previous point. I haven't worn this one yet. This is there's only one place to get this, and that was going back down south. So, that festival is taking place right now. So if you're in that area, go check it out. It's a small little carny festival. They do have live music, great food. I do recommend fried gator on a stick. That shit is awesome.
In matter of point, Wheelan and I have been hanging out over at the Red Room's Discord. Right, as I've been making friends, and it's like, oh, there's a podcast this morning. It's like, oh crap, there is. It's like, yep. It's like, oh, I gotta be there. It's like, oh boy, now you're in for it.
Yeah, Now you're in it. But
Woo!
previous point I wanted to make was the last podcast we did on Chalt actually got censored. Not on YouTube.
No shit.
Surprisingly, not on YouTube.
Oh no, on Rumble.
The free speech site, Cloud Hub, censored us within minutes of putting up that 2.5-hour video. I'm talking like, when I say within minutes, I'm talking like a minute and a half. That thing came down.
For the monstrous siren titties, right?
Yeah, that was it. It was over that. It's an AI running their censorship. So the censorship happened.
Machines are confused by boobs.
And I was like, what could possibly be offensive? Because we've said worse on this show. We have gone way out there before, tons and tons of times. I was like, so it's not the language, it's not anything else. It was from that very book that Joe is holding. When I left, I'm not kidding. It was only, what was it, about a minute? I left that image up on screen, and suddenly it was, we got to take this down. Now, I
think you actually said it. I think you actually looked at it and said, I should probably take this down.
No, I was looking through the video. I had to put this into my editor, go look through it, and I was like, this is the only thing I can see. So maybe it's this. I don't know. Like, the AI gives you it just tells you this violates our community guidelines. It does not give you specifics. And rather than fight Cloud Hub, I was like, let me just look and see what's there. So I found it, and I was like, this is the only thing I could possibly see. It took a while. I had other shit to do that day, and this delayed all that. As a matter of fact, I didn't get to half of it because I was going back through 2.5 hours of video. I chopped it, and in its place, I put some text there that said, this may be the offending thing. I don't know. And I did put up where you could see it uncut. One of the places, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, those two have not done anything to it. So you can still view it there. You can still view it here on YouTube. So that's why I was like, okay, I haven't gone through the books again. So offending imagery may pop up. I may have to edit. And if I see it before anything, I'll just kind of just slide through it. But I'm looking at that thing and I'm going, okay, if they're citing pornography was ruled by the Supreme Court as anything that appeals to a prurient interest, anything that titillates or something like that. I'm wondering how someone would look at that and go, yeah, I gotta have that.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna show my inner weeb again. I think it was late last year. Goblin Slayer dropped, and everybody freaked out about that first episode with that very particular scene, right?
I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to get into what goes on there. Just believe you me that it is quite hardcore, unpleasant, right?
Really?
But the thing is that contextually, right? It's a fantasy, and they're showing you what a TPK looks like in real time.
Ooh.
Right? You watch a bunch of over-enthusiastic, ill-prepared level 1s go into a dungeon and think, yeah, goblins ain't no problem. We're just going to go stop them. And they get owned, right? And it's not, maybe because the artists are traditionally more experienced doing hentai, they made the human forms more interesting on an aesthetic level. But in a practical level, it's not titillating anyone. There is nothing prurient about that material unless you are someone with a very specific, very unpleasant, very private fetish.
And in that case, it's really on that person. And I'm like, okay, and we could go in several different directions, but I just wanted to take this moment to point out, ladies and gentlemen, there are block and mute features on all of these sites. You're not required to view them. Use them. Act like sane, rational, mature adults. Unless you're playing Chalt, then you can totally act like a 14-year-old going, because we do. So anyway.
Are you threatening me?
Are you threatening me?
Yeah, block frequently and block often.
And
you know.
now our guest is regretting his life decisions that brought him here.
That's all right.
And you know what? I have to agree with this. In today's world, some really strange things are turning people on. Yeah, I still haven't broken rule 30. I still have. I think rule 34 remains broken with me. I'm still looking for lesbian midget bikers wearing diapers, chasing nurses dressed like Smurfs. So until I find that, rule 34 has been broken. But anyway, getting to
coming to a Raven Wolfgar run Schalt campaign near you very soon.
I wouldn't put it past me. Miguel, what is going on, man?
Hello.
Hi, Miguel.
So what is going on? We see that, like, what was it? 3 of them, 3 Wretchedverses have dropped since the Wretched RPG came out, and we are going to be talking about Epic here today because that ties directly in. In fact, I need to pull that one up because I know I have it.
In matter of point, I was watching a video a few minutes ago. I'm not going to get into the depths of it, but it was arguing how supernatural elements didn't make sense in the Mad Max style apocalypse, and Waylon and I were going like, but Epic, but the Wretchedverse, it all interconnects. What are you talking about?
Oh,
We can't avoid that.
yeah. I was just like, wait, what? This can't be serious, but apparently,
because in your apocalypse you might find a UFO, and that's apparently bad, says someone.
well, I mean, look at stuff like Mutant Crawl Classics, Gamma World, Dark Sun, Post-Apocalypse and Magic have gone together like hand in glove before. It's nothing new. This one, putting it into a Mad Max style setting, I don't think is that far fetched.
Is your mic still doing that thing? Is anyone else hearing that?
I am hearing that.
Okay.
But while you look into that, my folks, in fact, back in the day when they were running First Ed D&D, my dad was a Trekkie, right? And he liked Klingons. So they had a Klingon D6 battlecruiser crash on their homebrew planet, and the Klingons formed a pocket empire with orcs.
I know what the issue is. I was opening one of the PDFs, and the PDFs open in Microsoft Edge for some reason. So
your parents ran D&D for you as a kid?
Oh no, I'm a second generation gamer. I was in the cradle, like in the playpen, watching my folks play D&D.
Oh man,
with people that would like travel down on weekends, right?
Aww.
To go to Lake Geneva. To go to Lake Geneva and play with Gary.
Oh, that's cool as heck.
Right.
Oddly endearing.
Oh yeah. And so. I've been playing role-playing games in some fashion since I was 7 years old.
Cool.
So when people get on the high horse about, well, I've been doing this 20 years, it's like, oh yeah, really? Really? You want to go?
Like, okay, you've been doing it since the 90s. That's great.
Yeah.
What part did you miss? Because you seem to be stuck in the new way of thinking.
I mean, then again, I don't know if you guys have seen Wolfgar. You can direct people. There is a excellent documentary on Tubi. If you ever wanted to watch a bunch of boomers discuss what it was like to be in the depths of the Satanic Panic, which, as you know, the young people say didn't happen.
I caught the butt end of that. I brought home a second edition D&D book from a Lutheran church group thing, and the guy I was sitting next to was telling me all about it. So of course I buy the book while we're out on this mission group, and I come home with the second edition D&D book, and my parents are freaking out that I've brought home Satan on this Lutheran thing. Eventually they caught on what the game was actually about, and I've been gaming ever since, but thankfully they were flexible. But man, parents get caught up in that stuff, man. They see something on TV and
when I discuss the Red Room, hi Miguel, I usually describe it to people as the kind of game that your mother used to hate, right? because it's very much in the scheme of hide this under your blanket and read it. Don't tell people you have it, right? Chult is somewhat the same way. Chult is just more brazen about it.
Yeah, Chult is way more brazen about it. We've got all kinds of stuff in here, and I think we covered a lot on the last episode, but for this one, we got through Chult, which, as I understand it so far, Chult is the core book here, and you're going to get everything you really need in this 218 pages, and it's on sale at a site that I will not be advertising. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about, but if you want to get the PDFs there, if that's a little more economical for you, I say go ahead and grab it. It's very cool.
Your audio is garbage again.
Your mic hates you.
Yeah,
God,
but
it's out to kill you right now.
But actually, interesting thing about the Chult book, you don't actually just get Chult. You actually get 2 games for the price of 1, because you get Chult, and there's Red Dragon Slayer in the back for making characters.
Crimson Dragon Slayer.
Or Crimson Dragon
Yep.
Slayer,
Yeah.
So
Crimson Dragon Slayer D20 is on 208. Let me see if I can.
So you are actually getting 2 games for the price of 1.
So that just got like a revision. So it's up to I think it was like a week ago almost that Wenger released a 2023 edition. That I think just had like one rules change about how to spend the metagame currency, or a divine influence, where it's like you could use it more as a pool system as opposed to just a single like I can reroll it. So if I remember right, it's like everyone burns 1 point, and they could just buy a roll. Although I'd have to. Oh yeah, you got it right here. It's it's right there. No, down just a little bit. It's like a fuchsia splatter. Yep, that's the rule right there. Fuchsia burn.
Fuchsia burn, yeah. And these little fuchsia stones, you can actually get these in like what is it? Like you can find them at the dollar store. They're like the little glass beads you stick at the bottom of a fish tank.
Oh yeah,
They'll make great counters and tokens and everything. They're super cheap.
I bought a metric heck ton of those for Magic the Gathering. I used to use those as temporary mana and for like creature tokens.
Yep, same. Love those things. But it says, give my players little fuchsia stones as tokens to represent divine favor. When a point is spent, it's handed back to me. Fuchsia burn allows a player to spend all the divine favor currently on the table at once. Must be greater than merely 1 fuchsia stone. Burning everyone's divine favor up in order for that player's character to automatically crit. Something else you can do, and I do this. I've got a little box full of these. Let's say bottle caps. Spray paint the fuckers. There you go.
If you're one of those theater of the mind people, I can advise you could do interpretive dance. That's very Chulty.
Interpretive dance. Oh no, interpretive dance.
Hey, you get bonuses. You get bonuses if it's a lap dance for the DM. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm not giving anyone a lap dance. Not with my hips as bad as they are. Fuck that.
Yeah, not with that attitude. Okay. I'm certain Miguel was just shifting, but because there's a pop-up in the way, I thought for a minute he'd fallen out of the chair.
Yeah, is there a way to flip the cameras over to the other side so you can keep the chat log thing going?
Let's see. Flip them to the other side.
I got no idea what that interface looks like on your side.
New layout, maybe. I'll look into that one later, unfortunately. But
no worries.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the. We got the chat and all that good stuff over here on the side. But here's something. When I was around 6 years old, I had a best friend whose mom stopped allowing me to hang out because I had He-Man toys that he and I would play with. Said the toys were of the devil. Yeah. Well, you know, I've still got some of those. Well, miniaturized versions, one of which I turned into this guy right here. So from dollar store drab to tabletop fab, right there, bang.
I got Jungle Boy Jack Perry from AEW Wrestling. It's the one action figure I own.
the fundamental frustration, if I can be serious for a minute, is the ignorance that people display in their judgment, right?
Yeah.
He-Man is Satan. It's like, wait a minute, a story about someone who is fundamentally good finding the power to face fundamental evil, who always wins and always does the right thing, no matter how difficult it is pro-Satan. Explain that to me.
Well, it's because they're using magic, you see, and it's white magic versus black magic, but you're not supposed to use magic at all. It's like, aren't you kind of acknowledging that magic exists?
Which is funny because I've had this conversation with people before. The Catholic Church does not recognize the existence of magic.
Then what
There is, in the Catholic Church, there are only miracles of God and works of Satan. Right?
So they ignore entire swaths of their own book.
Yeah. So, the vast majority of people who are looking for witches and magic are like Protestants.
Pretty much.
Which is supposed to be the more forward-thinking, perhaps even scientific branch of Christianity, which is ridiculous.
Well, here's something that I wanted to point out, though. If I understand this correctly, Chalt is built on this rule system, but it's a bit more crunchy. Because this is only 15 pages, ladies and gentlemen. 15 pages for Crimson Dragon Slayer D20. This is the 2023 version. You can get it on Big Geek Emporium. And it's absolutely free. And I mean, geez, look at that cover. That's like, seriously, I would love to print this thing out myself and have a physical copy of it at some point. But even at only 15 pages, I think it would be pretty cool to have like a digest size print version. And wow, look at this bad motherfucker here, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I play in Wenger's weekly, I guess semi-weekly Chult game, and I didn't quite get what he was trying to do with the system. But I believe he designed it originally just to get going and not have to worry about it's like, yeah, roll D20 and go. It's like the community system from that community episode. Where it's just like, just roll the D20 and just things happen. So it's kind of on that level. There aren't any stats. There's a saving throw. That's about it. But it's interesting because it allows you to engage more with the setting, which is where I guess Chult more or less lives. It's less of a merger of system and setting. It's more setting, and then there's a system that kind of fits in there that helps, push that along to make interesting things happen. I'm currently working on a Mark of the Odd, Zine hack of it for him, just for fun. But I personally like the freedom it gives, because the table is more interested in role playing about whatever is currently in front of us, because we don't have a system to kind of metagame through things. It's like we're not thinking about okay, what are my character powers? What can I, this or that. It's more about okay, what relationships have our characters built to get us through to the next thing? What can we rely on? What metaphysical weirdness do we encounter that we can exploit to solve the situation? I don't know. It's just, it reminds me of role playing when I was way younger. And I'm 40, so it's nice going back to those Halcyon days, that Halcyon mind feel, and just play something simple and fun.
That is one of the difficulties I've been having working on stuff for the Red Room. And I want to be clear, I don't work for Miguel or for Sylvia. They didn't give me a job or anything. I'm just an enthusiastic fan who's I can write some stuff, okay? But I'm trying to make interesting hacks and optional permutations of system, and I keep going, is this too complicated? Do I need to pull this back? Because the system's already really elegant and smooth, and I don't want to screw that up by adding too much, crunch.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, man. And then honestly, the more playtesting, the only way to really get a feel for this is playtesting, because then you can see okay, this is too crunchy, or it's getting this weird result here. I need to back away from that.
It's why I get really frustrated when there's a reviewer or just somebody you talk to in casual conversation who talks about game system, and what they come up with is so completely off book. Not because you can't have interesting house rules or whatnot, right? But my thing in order to learn Red Room so I could work on it was I have bought a fair amount of Red Room stuff. Miguel's got the receipts. He knows what I bought. I've been reading those things. I've read between 2 editions to try and become conversant in this material, right? And I'm still working on it. I'm not like 100% conversant, but I'm very deep in it. And I'm like, what that person just said isn't right. It's very wrong, or it's not 100%. And then I'm like, I get salty. I'm the cranky one.
Yeah, you have to correct them online. You have to.
The thing is, I'm not even a rules lawyer. I'm not like a serious like, but rules is written. I'm like, no, rules is intended. Raw is silly.
Well, we've had that discussion before with with one particular Twitter user who has made this claim that character death was verboten by 5th edition D&D. And we're like, I actually pulled up. I'm like, no, that's nowhere in there. And I actually pulled up the page and put it up on screen. I'm like, okay, where else in the book? Where else in the core rules here? What am I missing? And he still has yet to answer me. So I'm like, okay, there we go.
Yeah, yeah. I find it, as a GM that's run a bunch of 5th ed games, I find it particularly hard to kill players. Just because they've got so much utility to like weasel out of things or deny GM. Like if I roll a crit, one player will be like, "You're going to re-roll that." I'm like, "Cool." It's just like it's like all the threat is taken out of combat. It's like we're going to get in there and the system is just totally like waited for the players to win every time. Even if you throw the most ridiculous stuff at them, they'll just go ham on it. No problem.
I get a different experience because the tools to bring challenge to your players are there.
Okay.
Right? But I find, and this is not an accusation, I'm just saying this is my experience. I find there are a lot of GMs who either A, missed something really vital in the rules, such as how challenge rating works, right? Like challenge rating is 4-on-1. So a CR1 monster is 1 instance of that monster versus 4 adventurers, right? And that metric seems to have been lost, where it's like, 1/8 is 8 goblins fights 4 dudes, right? But then the other thing is like nowhere in the book did it say you couldn't use tactics and you couldn't use interesting weapons or terrain or any of the things that adventurers should be using. Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Oh, I find a lot of newer GMs have never even considered that stuff. And you run into 2 kinds of players. You either run into players who love it. They're like, oh, wow, that was really engaging because they've never experienced that before and they're not bored, right? Or you run into players who get really upset because they think you're the killer DM that's out to get them, right? Because how dare you challenge them directly?
Well, also look at what's been going on lately, particularly with old school players. A lot of us were kind of behind the BX thing for a while. I think a lot of us still are. I know I am. I was a hardcore 2nd edition guy for a long time, but I'm also one of those guys where when I started with 2nd edition, I was like, I wonder what 1st edition was like, and now I got to see that and I was like, okay, that's cool. I like it. It still had a lot of there was still a lot of familiar territory, and then Basic Fantasy got me introduced to BX. The Rule Cyclopedia got me introduced to Beckme, and then I saw these sets like Swords and Wizardry, Iron Falcon. When you go back to original D&D, there was so much left to interpretation and a lot of power left in the DM's hands that I think that's why people are kind of going back in some ways, because they're like, okay, I have no agency here as a game master. I have more agency with these systems over here. And I think like BX kind of strikes a nice little balance between player and GM. There's really not there's still, GM's still the final arbiter. but the players also still have agency, even if the entire adventure for the campaign from start to finish is nothing but, it's nothing but random dice rolls that determine stuff like this page we're seeing right here on hallucinations. I mean, you roll a d6 and there's your hallucination. There's how your character's going to react.
I'm always terrified when Wenger brings up those tables. He'll crack the book open in front of us and look down and we're like, oh, wait, roll a d8. And we're just like, oh God, what's going to happen?
Oh shit.
Does he smile over the edge of the book with malevolent intent?
No, I mean, usually he plays it straight. I mean, look, this is the guy that wrote the thing, so it's interesting because, he made up all this stuff, and I think he put so much stuff into his own books, he forgot what he threw in there. So he's almost being excited again because he's like, oh yeah, this thing, and then he'll tell us, and then the smile comes afterwards because it's like, okay, now what? Now we get to see what happens with this weird thing we introduced.
My thing about the job, and I call it a job because I was a storyteller for the White Wolf fan club for about, oh God, it hurts to say almost 15 years.
When you say the job, you mean GMing or?
Yeah, I mean GMing.
Okay, gotcha.
My thing about the job is I always described it to people as I was a civil servant, right? Which they took to mean that, so the players are in charge. It's like, no, the players elected me to run game for them. I'm in charge, but I have to serve my constituency. I serve them by being fair and even-handed and applying the rules in a logical format, right?
Mm-hmm.
The expectation for that, the trade-off is that people will follow my instructions and will be polite, right? Somewhere along the way in the community, and I hate to use the term community, it's more like disconnected tribes, but it's community.
Yeah.
Players got this idea that the ST is only there, the GM is only there to referee, and even then, it's optional. Because it's collaborative storytelling. So if the GM says no, they're wrong. And the most pernicious lie, in my opinion, is the lifted from Hollywood, where don't say no, say yes but or yes and. It's like, no, sometimes you just say no. Sometimes there are things that people want to do that are not possible, right?
Or you can always ask your players, okay, how do you intend to do that? Can you do it within this time frame? Right. And see if have them examine it. There's
right.
I think John was telling me a story one time where he was running a 4th edition game. I think his wife was involved as a player, and she wanted to do some pyromancy spell. He said no, and that was like one of his learning lessons. Was he was like, okay, do you have the material to light the fire? Can you get it going and then do the spell within this time frame? And he said that's where she just kind of was like, I'm out. And he was like, looking back on it, I kind of wish I had done it this way because that would have been better. But there are some things that are just nonsensical on their face, and I'd be like, no.
So speaking of
you're not
speaking of time constraints, you've brought up the cover of Epic, and I'm concerned that the AI will get afraid of scantily clad yet perfectly covered boobs. So why don't you tell
scantily
us?
Clad? She is not. She's covered. She's like covered from the neck down. There is no scantily clad anywhere in here.
Right, but the AI
unless we're going full Sharia and her face is covered.
I'm just saying
if they require that.
I'm just saying the robot might think that they're robo boobs and get really confused.
Yeah, who knows what AIs are into? All the things.
Yeah,
things we can't even imagine as humans.
Look. In some places you can see those girls' circuits. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just I don't know, man. I'm loving that silicon. I'm loving that silicon. What can I say? In many senses of the word.
Have you never heard of that Twisted tune?
Yeah.
I believe in silicon.
Yeah, I have. I've listened to that, but this is really why I wanted to cover this next because I got a couple games. This one being among them, Epic.
Yeah, I heard people were talking about boobs. So
like magnets. We start talking about the boobs, and there's Sylvia.
Yeah.
I think I just blushed.
Their gravitational pull is too great.
I mean, check out the. I mean, look at the art. The artwork in here is very much in the alpha blue territory, which is another very, very light set of rules that you can use for space adventures, also free. And this really does kind of tread into that, and of course, using alpha blue and wretched space as source books. So you will need alpha blue, and you'll need this. And of course, this is part of the Chult Game Jam that had taken place. And of course, we got this beautiful piece of art right here, right before the introduction. Who is she? Love those eyes. Even if her hands are all janky, that's fine. I would still totally go for her. But anyway, yeah. I see. This is where I'm not going. Yeah, I gotta have that big green thing that Cloud Hub's AI thinks is pornographic. But this one's really cool because this one really takes place in space more than anything, or at least it's its introduction. And then Chult is a whisper. The desert's stirring and it's calling. And there's this little MacGuffin here, which is the Chronos. And it can bring creatures from the beyond. Which, again, this is where Colin's going to get nervous. Roll a d12, and if you roll a 12, 1d6 apostles of pain escorted by a group of 2d6 Sicarii and 1d6 Machinator will be released from the beyond. Don't roll a 12. Don't roll a 12. Oh, don't roll a 5 either. 1d6 apostles of pain, humanoid BDSM demons were summoned, and they have such sights to show you.
I'm a big fan of Hellraiser, so that jives, man.
This will put them together very, very nicely.
Yeah.
In space. So see, this is why I don't get why Hellraiser Bloodline gets the hate that it does, because I mean, look at some of the stuff that's I wouldn't want to say came from that, but there it is. It's right there in black and white.
Which one was Hellraiser Bloodline?
That was the one where they went through the generations of the guy who created the box.
The descendant of the
space.
creator of the box made a box in space to capture Pinhead.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Did the author? Oh, I forget. I'm blanking on his name right now, and I know
Clive
it's
Barker.
super popular. Thank you. Yeah. Did he?
Barker,
How many of those books did he write? Does anyone know? Like
The book
that
is-
were.
Yeah.
Well,
And
no. He's written another one. There's also
There's a
Pinhead is in 3 books, I think.
Yeah.
The novella.
The Scarlet Gospels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
It was
exactly.
the Hellbound Heart and the Scarlet Gospels, I know. But what was the other one?
Is he in a short story? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I think he
think
shows up somewhere else.
Or is it because Arya Mood appears in a
maybe.
tale? No, it's because the Lord of Illusions,
No,
and he
that's
also
not-
appears in the
No,
Scarlet
it's not that
Gospel.
one. No. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I had a
It's
feeling.
But then he wrote the comics, or at least part of the comics. I think it were written by him.
Oh, I'm asking the right people around.
Yeah.
Just-
As a
I
matter of
just
fact,
read
in the comic
book.
series, in the comic series, what was her name in the first 2 movies? She becomes the
Kirsty.
new
Yeah,
Kirsty.
yeah.
She becomes the new Pinhead. Like she
The-
literally trades places with Elliot Spencer.
The daughter, or
Yeah, the daughter.
okay, interesting. All right.
Well, it's more interesting indeed because she actually is a quote unquote good hell priest for her short tenure as hell priest.
She's not like the other hell priests.
Yeah, because the thing is, of course, is that to even call them hell priests is inaccurate. The first movie tells you what they are. They're travelers in the further realms of experience. They're fundamentally neutral. Neutral is just as terrifying as chaotic. They're not evil. They're just fucked up.
They don't tell you about neutral.
Yeah, like they said, angels to some, demons to others.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about the series specifically is it does hit that weird, like the audience knows, but to like the actors experiencing the thing, it's like literally awful as heck. So
in the accessory I'm making for Wretched Darkness, it's called the Red Ministries because it's a Scarlet Gospels nod. It's about vampires.
I just caught that like right before you mentioned it. I was like,
It's about vampires, and one of the groups of vampires that is provided is a lineage loosely based off of Dr. Chenard from Hellraiser 2, right?
okay,
And the joke is that they really wanted to become apostles of pain, so they traveled to the beyond. And the Apostles of Pain looked at these ultra-conservative, uptight, Thatcherian-style English people and said, no. And they went to the succubi and were like, make us like you. And the succubi said, no, we enjoy watching you suffer. So they literally got turned into vampires, right? And they think that it's a stepping stone towards evolution to these beings of pure experience, right? And other
Interesting.
vampires think that they're dipshits. Because they're like, oh, wow, you're from that lame-ass family of wannabes.
so far, I have all the Wretchedverse books in PDF. I've got up to Wretched Space in print. I've got so much catching up to do.
I mean, since you've said the
There will
name,
be
do we want
less
to...
in print now. The Wretched Verses will not be in print, so there's less.
Well, yeah, the Wretched Verses being PDFs, that I totally understood. But I think Wretched RPG, Wretched Space, Wretched Apocalypse, those are going to have to be my next buys. I really need to put those somewhere up here on my desk hutch, but my box sets are like taking up a ton of real estate right now.
Well, since we brought them up, do we want to talk about the Wretchedverse I'm working on real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I sent you a link. Let me see if that you can bring that up or not. Because it's over in the Gilded.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Because I've been experimenting with AI art.
Okay.
I've been experimenting. I can't say I'm any good, but I've been working with it.
What are you
Experimentation.
using? Journey?
Yeah. If this link works, then I will send you more to put up while I read some ramble.
Let's see this one. Yeah, totally. Bangarang.
Nice. For the Wretchedverse, I'm going to keep with the aesthetic that's been established of sort of black and white art, right? But here we go. I am gonna read this, and I'm gonna read this in the most ridiculous, over the top voice. So hold on to your pants. It is the 13th millennium. Mankind has reached out and grasped the stars. In the middle parts of the 22nd century, mankind sought to escape his earthly prison through the use of massive generational cruisers. The colonists themselves would sleep through the journey in cryogenics, while a small, select group would remain active using the fantastic, rejuvenating life treatments discovered by the East European medical conclave Sanguine Dynamics. These floating coffins would travel near the speed of light to distant stars, there to deliver their payload of life, and then to nurse it into full flower. One such ship, the TFS Caligari, left the solar system from the outer edge by Neptune Jump Gate. Her last words spoken by the captain were a quote from Psalms 139:8. If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. It was a moment of hopeful idealism. The Caligari disappeared. Declared lost with all hands, the vanishing of the Caligari was a great mystery for centuries to come. The general opinion remained that the ship suffered a critical failure inside the wormhole and simply never translated back into real space. Both it and the support escort of ships lost to the void. Others suggested the Caligari had changed its destination at the insistence of an unknown hand on some hitherto dread errand. The truth was infinitely more complicated. The Caligari translated not through a stable wormhole as ships are otherwise meant, but was instead ejected into the otherworldly realm called the Beyond, there to drift without guidance until discovering the vast Ouroboros Nebulae and the nest of worlds known as the pentagonal stars within it. It was there, confined within the unique gravitational balance of worlds and the might of a black hole, that a wound was found in reality, which was the source of the nebula. Vast reservoirs of the fluid known as heart's blood perpetually pour into space, inundating what would be called the throne world and the universe as it was known forever. The vampiric founders of the soon-to-be established great houses under the Covenant discovered that heart's blood greatly expanded the vampire dependence on blood. The heart's blood seeping into the beyond extended life. The blood expands consciousness. The blood allows all manner of bizarre powers in the vampires who sup upon it. And being so very a rare commodity, the great house which controls the heart's blood controls the empire. Unfortunately, those of the blood are not the only creatures within the Ouroboros.
So the heart's blood must flow.
Yes. And the title of this wretched verse is called Blood Knights of the 13th Millennium. It is the loving juxtaposition of noble bright and wretched.
Nice. So I was like just looking through here, and I pulled this one. I gotta pull it again, but this is how far back with Wretchedverse I go. I got the OG Wretched Bastard sitting right here.
Yeah, that
Like,
one. I
This,
can't
this,
stand that one. I hate that one. The first thing that I did.
the first thing, like when I saw this, I read the description, and I was like, okay, cover leaves somewhat to be desired, but let's get past it. I went into it, I was like, oh, this is great. Then I got the book, and I was like, yeah, I can totally do this. This took no time at all to get through. The PDF was short, and I was like, yeah, I dig this. It's just kind of simple, straightforward, right to the point. But once you start seeing the wretched system, and you could even play Innocence if you wanted to. I was like, this is great, because all those chuckleheads who are screaming about how unnuanced the alignment system was, I was like, this is your game. Why are you going after it? You know, why aren't you buying this? This is what you're looking for right here. So, you know, especially with the players who want to play like the monster, you know, they want to play those orcs and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of your game. Why are you so angry?
Miguel, you said you didn't like that cover, or you didn't like that version of it or something, or
Cover of it, yeah. I hate the cover.
oh, you hate the cover. Okay, gotcha.
Back then, I didn't like it that much, but it was well, we were supposed to have a commission hardcover, but then it was the guy we talked about. He wasn't available at the time.
Yeah.
At the time,
so we just decided.
I just picked something.
Oddly,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, oddly enough, playing the monster and being a wretched piece of scum is where the wretched verse that I was just describing comes in, because against type, even though I love being wretched, don't get me wrong, one of those things that I'm trying to opine is that no, you can be good guys in the wretched verse. Nobody said you had to be bad. Yes, you get rewarded for being
one you're playing
scum.
more like you're playing more like the anti-hero. So when we're talking about anti-heroes, I think Wretched Country, which is another title that came out right not too long after Wretched Bastards. Wretched Country delves into that violent spaghetti western, you know, Clint Eastwood man with no name, whereas Cowpunchers, which is one I worked on, that one deals with like more of your John Wayne, Kurt Russell playing a Wyatt Earp Tombstone, almost historically accurate type thing. And that's where I think when you're looking at the Wretchedverse and you're like, what do you mean anti-heroes? Go to Wretched Country and start thinking Clint Eastwood, and not think like you're not playing King Arthur here. You're playing more like Conan the Barbarian. Really kind of out for himself.
Well,
this I have to agree was a better cover.
Yeah.
This one on this one on screen right here.
Well, that's the thing though. Because you say you're not King Arthur. The verse that I'm working on is okay. You want to be King Arthur? Great. You're King Arthur in space. Unfortunately, you're also a blood-drinking monster, right? With a savage hunger, and if you don't get your fix of heart's blood, you're gonna go unglued on the mortals that are around you while you're trying to be chivalrous and good. Right?
It's not going to work out too well, and on top of that, that player is going to gain extra XP for indulging in their deadly sin. There.
Right. So it's a struggle between your desire for XP, which players should absolutely seek, right, but also your desire to play this restrained good guy in a society that absolutely encourages you to be scum. Because these great houses in this far-flung nebula, they're not good people.
But in our group, that's our player, that Manel, that normally he likes to play very, how can I say?
Boring?
Yes, but he always likes to play the good guy also. But he got adapted to Wretched very. He's pretending he's the good guy, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's just wretched. He's not a bastard. I gotcha.
Right.
He always likes to play that's why I say he's boring. He's the good guy that does everything, and now he's like, I'm the good guy. Yeah, but I'm really not.
It's sort of like Carter Burke in Aliens. From all appearances, he seems to be like when you first meet him, before you know anything else about him, he's there. He's really reassuring to Ripley. He's like fully on her side, and then you start seeing his wretched kind of creep through with whoa, this installation has a significant dollar amount attached to it, and then there's the face huggers he lets go because he was told to bring the specimens back, and he's bound and determined to do it, and that's what ends up killing. And it's like, okay, that's a really good example of someone being wretched. That's a great one you could put on that facade. You may be the knight with a great reputation, but deep down inside, you're
ulterior motives.
Yeah, ulterior motives everywhere.
Well, the other example from my perspective of a wretched character is Hudson, right? Played by Bill Paxton, same movie, right? Hudson's a piece of shit. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be here. This is a payday. He wants to get out of this job, right?
How do I get out? Well, actually, he puts on this big bravado show.
Right.
He's the frat boy.
But he's a chicken shit. He's actually terrified.
Until they're overrun and he's like, get the fuck out of here. I'll buy you some time. Then suddenly, he's like, I've put on a show of bravado so long, people are starting to see through it. It's time to put up or shut up.
That's the thing. Really good characterization, like in a D&D, the question's always, well, what will cause you to fall? What will you sacrifice goodness for? Right? In the Wretchedverse, from my perspective, it's what will you be a good person for?
Yeah.
Where are your lines where you stop being a bad guy, or are you actually the villain you pretend to be?
And on top of that, when you take something like Epic and you mix it with Chalt, because that's where, or when you take the Wretchedverse and you mix it with Chalt via Epic, then suddenly you've got something there that, once you're into the world of Chalt, your guy can be as good as he can be. He can be the upright, Dudley Do-Right kind of guy. But at the end of the day, he's gonna suffer for it. He's gonna suffer greatly. So now the question is, which way, Dudley? It's like he could go either way now. Well, this one, Whelan popped up with a question for Miguel and Sylvia. Do you guys have any plans for other Wretchedverse books after the second edition of Wretched Bastards? Anything new outside of what you guys have already done?
Of
It
course
must
we
be a
do.
new game. Yeah, I think the answer for the true answer for this is probably the Wretched, the Vigilantes thing.
Yeah, should be the
Because
next new
that's
thing.
it, that is the new thing. So that's the answer for this one. And
Wretched
then,
Vigilantes.
yeah, Vigilantes.
Because you too can play the Punisher.
Yeah,
Or Paul Kurtz
Heroes
from Death Wish.
don't fit
Oh,
in
yeah.
Wretched, so it has to be Vigilantes.
A weird thing.
Take some time yet, but that's probably the new thing.
A weird thing is I find a lot of people, just generically people, consume media, but they don't think about their media. And I don't mean that in some high-end philosophical, oh, we're gonna get political kind of way. I mean just in general, think about what is your media telling you, right? And a perfect example is I love Blue Oyster Cult's Veteran of the Psychic Wars, right? Which is straight up a gonzo song. It's a chult song. It's an epic song, right? But if
Yep.
you actually listen to the lyrics and what it's telling you, that is about a character suffering, right?
Yeah. I actually had that on cassette and it got stolen.
Oh, boo!
Suck.
I got to get it on CD. As a matter of fact, I've got a record store not too far from me. I might go see if they have it and pick it up again because that was I remember absolutely loving that one. That was the only BOC cassette I owned, and I loved it. It was great.
Interesting factoid. That was a song that BOD made with Michael Moorcock, and
Shut up.
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
is
that's true.
it is the only song out of a full album that Michael Moorcock made that made it onto the heavy metal soundtrack.
Did they write Black Blade too? Because I know that's a direct Elric.
Yeah.
Of,
No, he did.
Yeah. Okay.
Hawkwind is basically Michael Moorcock's band
Okay.
by
All right.
abstraction.
Whelan pointed out that the BOC thing, he agrees with you, and he said same with some Rush songs.
Well, look. I mean, there's Unrest in the Forest.
I wasn't a colossal Rush fan, but I did. I see where someone could be a fan of that. It just wasn't really my speed, so I was like, it's okay. But one of the points that I've made this point before, and I was talking to Stein about it on a podcast. I think it was like last year sometime, and I said more than anything, these RPGs that we play. I think what makes them such a threat to some people is that they preserve folklore. Look at how look at how both sides have attacked this. So one wanted it banned. They wanted it to, they just literally wanted to put a wall up and make it go away. But now the other side of things, now they want to come in, they want to infiltrate it, they want to subvert it, they want to do this, that, the third, and make it all about them. And we're just like, when they did it with D&D, they were like, oh, well, maybe this isn't for you anymore. Maybe you should make your own thing. We do. And then they freak out. They try to get us, again, trying to throw up the wall, trying to burn the books, trying to put them beneath a bulldozer or bury them or whatever. Or, get us deplatformed because they obviously can't take it. But if you look at like old folklore, and this is why I encourage people, if you really want material for your RPGs, especially fantasy RPGs, you can even pull it into modern day if you want. Go get some book like
Wretched Folklore, frankly.
Wretched Folklore is one of them, yes. However, it sounds cheesy, but this is only $8. This is like $7 or $8 at Barnes and Noble. This is full of ideas. I mean, if you can't get some kind of idea out of a book like this, then you're obviously losing the plot somewhere, because this really, to call them fairy tales is not exactly a good. It's not a good descriptor for it. These are folk tales, and these were meant to not only convey messages to children, they were also meant to show that the good guys don't always win. As a matter of fact, if you're familiar with how, and Joe, you and I have talked about this off camera, but if you're familiar with how The Little Mermaid really ends, it's not what Disney has shown you. Not in the cartoon, not in the new movie.
The insidious element to this moral panic, as opposed to the satanic panic, is whereas the satanic panic was people saying you can't say this at all, and everyone agrees that was garbage, right? This particular presentation of information is more about what we could essentially call, though it's not supported by a government, state-approved imagery, right? You can have your folklore, but only folklore that conforms, right? So, for instance, Beauty and the Beast has to be Beauty and the Beast from Disney, with Belle and Gaston and the Beast is this noble figure who's just misunderstood, right?
Right.
Because if you took Beauty and the Beast and you made it a Game of Thrones story, and you explained how the Beast became a beast because he was a cruel ruler, and that the reason that he possesses Belle has more to do with the medieval rules about essentially courtship and marriage, right? And if she stays with him after a year and marries him, then his curse is broken, right?
Right.
That's not romantic in the modern sense. That's not in the approved listing, right? So it must be wrong, right?
Yeah, there's no representation in this one or that one. It's like, tell me who the author is without Googling it and where they're from, and I'll show you why.
I mean, it's just like we're not allowed to talk about the idea that Little Red Riding Hood is about rape and murder and serial killing. Again, in a medieval context.
And here's the thing. I also have this book, which for those of you who check out my tarot readings, you know that I do have a tarot deck that is one of my absolute favorites. It was a gift to me, and it's one that I'll absolutely treasure for life. And it's called the Divine Tarot, which was put together by Yoshi Yoshitani, who did a companion book. So if you want to spend just a little bit more money and get these stories and sound bites, she's got this book, Beneath the Moon, which, again, it's not as thick, but it has fairy tales, myths, and divine stories from around the world. So you've got stories like John Henry, that's from Alabama, King Arthur, which is Celtic legend. You got the Legend of Fenrir, Aladdin, which I'm going to say this, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I always thought the pronunciation was Aladdin.
Oh, I don't know. Actually,
if I have any Middle Eastern listeners or watchers, please let me know.
So Aladdin as opposed to Aladdin. So Aladdin's just the English,
yes, probably,
hack job. Yeah.
In Portuguese, it's Aladino.
In Portuguese, Aladino.
Similar, yes. Well, not exactly similar, but it's Aladino, so it's very different.
Aladdin, motherfuckers.
On an unrelated subject, I just had a brain spasm.
Tell us about that.
Sylvia, I should, if you and Miguel don't have it, I should resend the little bit of lore that I wrote up for vampires and wretched bastards. If you guys want to use that in Wretched Bastards too. Just because it's probably
it's fun. A bit too late for that because Miguel already has the book almost finished. I was like, okay. Do that. Oh no, it's already late.
I only have one request. Don't do what TSR did, and I don't want to say sanitize it because that's not what they did. I think with TSR, with the core rule books for AD&D Second Edition, they tried to. Well, yeah, they did try to sanitize it. They tried to remove like the demons and devils and things like that. Please don't sterilize it. Well, I'm probably just speaking to the wind here, and that's probably not even a thing. But
I am
go harder.
As Wolfgar knows, I am more of a horror guy. But how I ended up becoming the vampire guy is I originally sent Miguel a write up on vampires in Wretched Bastards. I said, "What do you think of this?" And he was like, proceed. And I was like, okay. So I ran with it. And in that write-up, I suggested that where vampires come from is human cultists drained elves and drank their blood to get immortality, and it kind of worked, but not really.
I think there was a movie. Name escapes me right now, but
Describe it.
okay. So there was a legend in that movie. You got a guy who was a hitchhiker. He's hitching a ride with the star of the movie, and he mentions that there were some French soldiers, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. I do remember not a single fang was shown. There wasn't pale skin, but the people playing vampires were all kind of pretty for the 2000s, I guess. Anyway, these French soldiers were getting their ass kicked. They got pushed back into a cave. They made a deal with a demon to defeat their enemies. It worked, and then they found they couldn't leave the cave because the price for their victory was they were now vampires, and they were the source vampires, and they had spread out all over the world, stuff like that. I know the whole thing took place as this guy was trying to deliver like this expensive car.
Was it a foreign film or was it American?
This was an American film.
Okay.
Definitely American. Shit. It's like right there on the tip of my brain. But anyway, I know one of the guys from Final Destination was the star.
You'll remember it 5 seconds after we sign off.
I probably
for real. Yeah.
But it's one of those movies you'll look at it and go, yeah, this is the most 2000s thing ever.
It's going to be worse though. It's going to be a commercial that's going to show you the movie on some web browser, and you're oh, the AI assist a moment late. Yeah.
Right.
In matter of point, while I have many like beloved horror movies, my actual favorite horror movie, like fun, could watch anytime, don't care, is Dog Soldiers. If you guys have seen that.
I haven't seen that. Dog Soldiers.
That is a I want to say English film set in remote Scotland, right? Where a group of soldiers on maneuvers, war games, encounter a family of werewolves.
Yeah, I've seen that. That was really good. That was like holy shit good.
It's actually interesting because it's how soldiers using tactics and cooperation go toe to toe with supernatural monsters who can just eat bullets. Like the humans fight better than the werewolves.
And for all the flack that Chalt gets, which I'll be honest with you, I don't quite understand, because this is a game that leans heavily into those pop culture references, and I think this is one of the things that I've seen the biggest criticism for, is that it does lean heavy in those pop culture references, and I'm thinking, okay, who's ever had a game where you've quoted Monty Python? Who's ever had a game where the GM was like, I told you stop quoting The Princess Bride, and you responded death first? Come on.
Raven.
That's still a thing.
We know why Chalt gets it in the neck. It's right here on the Chartreuse Shadows cover. Right there.
Let's see. Chartreuse Shadows. We're going to go to the cover.
Yeah.
Right to the cover.
Right. You got melting faces. You have a man with a sword. And you have beautiful, extremely scantily clad women. This is all the reason they need to be mad about it.
And no representation. Yeah, everybody there is white.
Well, everybody there is green.
Which actually isn't
I can say that's true
when you think about it, because like Chalt is a desert. I would suspect everyone is kind of tan or olive, frankly. Yeah.
I mean, it's when we play, we don't think about it. It's like one of us is a dwarf and another one's an orc, and I'm like a half dwarf, half crystal guy. So it's like
the one time I played Chalt with Venger, I played a reptilian person.
Yeah,
because you can make those in Crimson Dragon, and I was like, no, I'm a snake man. I don't care about the rest of that stuff. That stuff doesn't matter. And
I'm looking here, and let's see, blue. So blue again.
Well, I mean, it is an ancient war. Wolfguard, it's an ancient war, whether it is blue alien woman or green alien woman master race.
And what do you have against tentacled beings? The tentacled beings are represented very highly, and if you don't, maybe you just don't like tentacled beings. Maybe that's it.
Maybe you just don't like the Japanese. Right? Nani?
There was some guy
maybe you don't like this lady who looks like a mix of Linda Carter and Barbara Mandrell with that beautiful, beautiful silver hair.
We call that the space fro.
The space fro. Accurate. Takes on the shape of your helmet.
It's also known as the astro fro.
Look at astro fro.
Galactic fro. I got it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but also
women with guns. Yes.
Also, sometimes casually referred to as the froyo.
Oh God. Well, we've officially been censored on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no.
Oh no. This is what I'm talking about right here. See, here's the thing. If I were to do a mix of Wretched Space and Chalt, there's one thing I would bring in. I would do it a little bit differently. This is just me though, because I've been reading it and I'm such a fan of it. The Hostile games by Zoser Games. It's mostly not really in system, though the system I think would probably work, but because it borrows so much from like Traveler and Cepheus and all that. What Hostile does is it takes the old, sort of worn out space truck practical ship and orbital platform design, and it brings that into the game. I would love to put something like this right here that's on my screen right now. That to me looks like something straight out of Hostile or any of its supplements, because that's a great platform right there.
Like ships with a brutalist architecture vibe. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah,
okay.
like just kind of like the worn out space truck.
Okay.
It's got a ton of miles on it.
Slaps hood.
Your techs are over there like, well, we're about like 15 weeks out from that from the next orbital platform where we can resupply. Right now, I'm just holding this engine together with chewing gum and duct tape. I watched a lot of MacGyver as a kid, and I don't have the glorious mullet, so let's just kind of get this thing done and limp into port, and we'll be fine.
Look, it's 3 a.m. We're 3,000 light years from Earth. We've got half a tank of fuel, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it. but
you forgot the pack of cigarettes.
Damn it.
And you're on a mission from God.
but seriously for a minute, my perspective, which is equally viable, which is why like Epic, Wretched, and Chalt are amazing.
No, go back to that dog, please.
Yes, this dog wearing sunglasses is awesome.
Yes. Correct answer every time.
It's not.
That's a PC right there. That's.
We have someone in our group that is playing his character, the pilot. The pilot, and it's really, really funny.
Yeah.
If I had a free hand and a game to just run,
love it.
Of Epic or Wretched Space, I would lean much more into a hybrid of sort of like Richard Corbin, who did Den, right, and like Barbarella or Lex, right, where everything is kind of biomechanical and there's a subtle sort of intimate connotation to all of the technology, because it's all very biomechanical and freaky.
I do love this. Women with guns all day, every day, please, and throw in a few swords. Yes. The retro futurism of Hostile, which he's the one that recommended the game to me. So, and he recommended the solo game first, and I was like, I love this. I only found out later there was like an actual setting book and a rules book, and they're two separate books. And when I started checking those out, I was like, I love this. This is awesome. And that's why I went to Zaibatsu, because that's same universe set on Earth. I would love to see a mix of something like that bring that. I mean, imagine a bunch of space truckers like the ones you saw in the original Alien movie, and suddenly they find themselves, like maybe they're on their way. Chalt was not on their bingo card, but here it is. And now they have to deal with the shit from Chalt that they're just not equipped to fucking handle. That would be amazing. And dungeon crawls through space trucker dungeons, that's cool. As a matter of fact, I've got a couple orbital platform ideas for something like that.
I don't know who Jack is, but I want to smack them now.
Why?
For their next comment. The Wretched Legion is recruiting. We can only write so quickly. And now my brain is like, I want a Roman setting for the Wretchedverse called the Wretched Legions, which is just
No, that's not the Legion. Yeah, not the Legion, but yeah.
Not the Legion, but there's a Rome-inspired Wretchedverse.
That should be coming soon.
Right. The Spartacus thing, right?
Be, something like that.
Hey, Miguel, what was the elevator pitch for Epic? Like, if you were to talk about it casually.
Sylvia? That one is mine.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sylvia. I apologize.
No problem. So it's a crossover from my first idea was to do it for Salt, but then when I got to because this was for the jam, but then I thought, no, I want to do Alpha Blue. It makes more sense. So basically, Epic is the name of the ship for the Wretched Legion, but that's the crew. But everything takes place in Theta Blue. That is basically a knockout of Alpha Blue.
Okay, cool.
So it's a space battle in the same in the same area. Well, not in the same area actually. In the area of Wretched Space, because Alpha Blue it's around Earth.
Yeah, Wenger so I'm in Wenger's like bi-weekly game, and he just took us through Alpha Blue stuff, so I got to experience that firsthand. Cold, had no idea what we were walking into. So the
cool. Idea is that you have that you can play this with Alpha Blue, because there are some you can just use the tables that are in Alpha Blue in the content and add it to this one, and vice versa.
Yeah. You can get a shocking amount of adventure out of a space brothel. Like you don't think about it, but it's just like
epic, like it's in this case it's really supposed to be like a space opera. So I have everything can happen.
Right.
When you say adventure, are you talking about the STDs or actual adventure?
I mean, I would say like, you pick something up and then the adventure is like, okay, we got to find a guy that can get rid of this weird thing I picked up because it's talking to me on my shoulder.
All right. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there is a series. You can find some of it on YouTube. The rest of it moved to, I want to say Verve, which was a horrible idea. It's called Deep Space 69.
Oh Lord.
Okay. And what it's about is
eject.
No. Bear with me here for a minute. What it's about is the misadventures of the suffering navigator who's halfway qualified, and his dumb shit captain who wants to be Captain Kirk and is bad at it, right?
Okay.
And they are couriers. They're interstellar couriers. All right. One of the episodes has the captain get face huggered on his crotch, right? and the thing is that as they're trying to get it off, right, he keeps resisting because he's enjoying the process of being face huggered on his groin. And it is the dumbest thing. It is stupid, but it is fun, and it is both. It is very wretched. It is very in keeping with the personality of the game. But the thing is that somehow, despite all the stupid, and there are many episodes of stupid, they are heroes. They actually do save the day. You actually start to want them to succeed when you learn how they became the way they are.
Was that a TV show or
that is a internet-based cartoon series that used to be on Mondo.
Okay, that sounds like Ogloff, that web
Yes,
comic.
I love
that-
Ogloff. I
yeah.
still follow Ogloff.
I one of my friends, like, I
Oh,
swear to God, like that comic gets mentioned and like all your friends shut up. I'm like, oh, you've all read it too. It's so weird.
Well,
It's like,
you can judge your friends by who freely admits they read Ogloff
yeah,
and who doesn't
all
want
of them
to.
do.
Yeah, everyone
It's
does. Everyone does, but nobody wants to admit it.
Yeah, all of them do, but yeah, nobody wants to admit it. And then yeah, you say, oh, like this one thing, and they show friends. Well, yeah, it's not. I mean, he does more serious stuff, but I wouldn't know. Like, sure, buddy, sure.
I love it when like a conversation will come up in the tabletop sphere with my peers, and I will go to Ogloff. I will look up the correct comic, and I will just plaster it into the chat and be like, "This is what they're talking about." Because Ogloff has tapped so many true gamer stories.
And so I did a random STD encounter table for Chalt a while ago. There's our Ogloff reader.
I mean, it'll tell you a lot. I'm one of those people. I don't know if you ever run into someone like this. I tell people openly that the Unlawful Book of Carnal Knowledge from Third Ed is a game accessory I will use. Right?
I don't think I know that one. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It was a fan book that earned some notoriety for introducing sexy content to D&D 3.
Okay.
Right? But the thing is that it was very serious about the material, not just the idea that people have sex, not the idea that there's a culture around sex or spells for sex, but that there are things like STDs in a magical universe. My personal favorite is called Mummy's Crotch Rot.
Oh Lord!
Right?
I don't want to know about necrophilia, man. That's
no. That's just what it's called. That doesn't mean you get it from necro. But the thing is,
the name implies otherwise.
The thing is that I prefer to wield that book, right? So that if I ever run into that player, that mythical player that everyone talks about, the bard that's like, I want to seduce everything. It's like, sure, you can go do that, buddy. Have fun, enjoy yourself. Pulls out book, looks up STDs, rolls on chart.
Or better yet, do what Venger does. Have them roll.
Yeah.
You got yourself into this mess, bud.
It's like, oh good. You have the curse. What curse? It's like, oh, it's the mimic curse. What's the mimic curse? Your genitalia changes form every day. You don't always know how to function it.
Congratulations, gender fluidity was
Oh, mercy.
Oh no.
Change your pronouns.
No. Oh no.
So just showing you, it's been a thing in RPGs. Not the way they wanted it, but it's the way it happened.
I was thinking more like, you go to sleep, you wake up, your genitalia is now an inanimate piece of wood. You're like, oh no, it's fluidity. It's like,
it's morning wood.
So now my genitalia is a knoll penis. Oh god, this is so much worse.
Well, I mean, hey, it beats the well, what was it? The Russians call that mummy stuff. It's Ratchakakov.
Oh god.
It's better than that, I suppose. At least you still got it.
Why are you going to the Black Pyramid? It's like, I need a cure for my horrifying disease. What is it? It's embarrassing. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm seeking a crystal. What kind of crystal? None of your business, dude. It's like, mind your business.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah, it sounds like an NPC that Wenger would just drop in. Usually, some of his NPCs are just hilarious. God, there was this one guy that was like a AI programmer, because I don't know, we found some realm that was a society that got kicked out by artificial intelligence had created, and there was like a Bill Gates character that had a death wish but knew how the AI worked. So we took him with us, and he was trying to get himself killed, but he was also the solution to the problem at the same time. because he had. So I was just like, and it was just like dealing with. It just sounds like a Wenger NPC is like something he would inject into the game to make it interesting. It's like some guy shows up in the same dungeon you're in. It's like, what are you here for? None of your business, man. Well, let's team up.
Wolfgar, has the audience just been growing this entire time? We have like a million people.
It has.
Because
We got Patriot Hobby just joined. RPG Renegade joined. They're here. We got like there's a whole bunch of people that just kind of came in and started hitting the chat. So welcome one, welcome all. And I love that these are characters. Just the random shit that we're talking about is just stuff Venture would just throw in there because it's. I wouldn't go with a Bill Gates. I would go with Steve Jobs because Steve was all about selling what he wanted. He loved that center of attention, and it would just. How would you guys like?
He was more like laid back. Yeah, I guess Bill Gates wouldn't be a good parallel for this guy, but he was just more like a Silicon Valley stereotype, like gets his Starbucks, it just. But I mean, it was just funny. It was just funny to play along with, and that was probably one of the best adventures he's ever run. Was that one with that NPC off the cuff? I don't know. That was an excellent adventure. I had a lot of fun in that.
If I had my druthers, especially if I was running a game for Avenger in this unlikely hypothetical scenario, I would specifically go out of my way to have him encounter the Dungeon Master from the 1980s D&D cartoon.
Oh, so
right.
Good.
But instead of being the little Hobbit man, it would just be Gilbert Gottfried.
Man.
You're over here and you're not understanding what I'm talking about. You've got all this power, and half the time you're screaming at a horse. What's wrong with you?
That's my horror. I used to do better impressions than that, but no. Oh man, I just won't give up.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Chult is a game setting designed for you to make those kinds of hilarious impressions and in-jokes. They really want you to go with it. So, like, somebody who has the skill to do Skeletor should damn well run Skeletor in Chult.
It's interesting. There are some games that I'll play with Wenger that are very like gonzo off the wall. And then there are other ones that seem like way more kind of like down the earth serious and feel more like a Dark Sun setting. So the rods of like, the driving rods for the setting do kind of like, wax and wane through play. So it's not all like crazy off the wall gonzo stuff. Sometimes it's literally like, hey, there he is.
There he is. Yeah.
I mean, that's where we started. I was like, I want to run a Chult game, but I want to play it straight because the humor and the enjoyment is implicit in the irrationality of the situation, but it's not necessarily funny. Like the individual content of you're taken by skeevers and you're now a slave. That's not a joke. That's some serious business.
Yeah.
And this question came up from Patriot Hobbies. Red Room, have you thought about trying to find a distributor here in the States like Vendor was discussing? I know I can throw in on that one a little bit. With Lulu, it's a print-on-demand service, but they try to find printers closest to you, whoever has availability, and then they print and ship it to you. So there's no international shipping. You can find Lulu printers pretty much almost anywhere.
Because we're talking about Kickstarter, and we're saying that we're not really, well, first Miguel doesn't like the idea of Kickstarting. Kickstarters because, we just hear it in a book. So there you have it. But also we're saying that was a thing that because we're in Portugal, so it wouldn't work with, you have to pay, okay, you want to join our Kickstarter, okay, and now you have to pay $30 for shipping back to the US.
And we would have to ship the things here because in Portugal Lulu has no.
No, you
has
would have to
no-
find someone a local
Yeah,
printer.
we
Probably
couldn't use
You'd
Lulu
have to,
because,
we have to use a local printer, and then we
but
have to ship the
probably
books for everybody.
Yeah, but I know probably local printers would be more expensive
Lulu,
than
yeah.
Lulu. Almost certain.
Unless you knew a good
Yeah.
one and would do.
Yeah, it would have to be something like that because if you're looking for stuff that's commercial, it's
This was something that was floated to me when I was working on my project was just do a Kickstarter, and I'm like, no, because that like the whole aim for the book I was doing was same as all the rest of these books. Keep those costs super down. That way I can pass that along to whoever wants to buy it. And doing all that would have driven those costs up. And I don't know that anyone wanted to pay $50, or close to it for a setting book for Wretchedverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think and it was mostly around the art. And there were a ton of people going, go here to this site, you can pick stock art. Every bit of it was a fantasy site. And I'm thinking, oh man, I see a whole bunch of people who have not been paying attention. Okay, so let me do a book called Wretched is the New Black. Let's do a prison setting. And then you've got random pictures of dragons and elves and knights. How does that work? You think everybody's gonna pop that book up and go, what the fuck is this? It's like, okay. great idea.
There's almost no stock art.
We wouldn't do, we
August.
wouldn't do Kickstarter. In last case, we would do Indiegogo, but you will not have the problem
we
with
couldn't
someone
do
was saying
Kickstarter
that,
because they use drive-through to.
and they are woke as fuck, and
also
probably
that,
they would kick us out. But
I see. Because of that partnership.
Partnership with. How could we deliver stuff in PDF if they are using drive-through? Unless, okay, can you accept us back because you're doing a Kickstarter?
Well, here's
we are not. We are the pink room.
One of the things I wanted to point out was, and this was just for me doing a little independent digging into it. I don't know that drive-through actually makes anything off of like the PDFs that are delivered with a certain package. If you get, say, you do the $50 tier, you get a print book and you get PDF. I don't know that they make anything off those PDFs.
They have an agreement with, but would they allow us? Let's imagine that we do a Kickstarter. They
Exactly.
would. Oh yes, we're gonna deliver your books. No.
Yeah, and I know. Let's see, Indiegogo campaigns. Indiegogo, I tried to back the Amazing Adventures books, the new ones that were coming, but Indiegogo would not accept my card. They kept telling me it wasn't the right card. I tried everything, and trying to get help sent me in this infuriating loop of websites, and I was like, I can't do it. So, like, I know there are people still launching Indiegogo campaigns, but I'm like, I can't help you. I could just retweet it. I'm sorry.
I am currently in such a loop with the U.S. Post Office.
Oh over the Elflair games. Yeah,
I got an email 11 hours ago. Quote: the U.S. Postal Service received the search request you submitted and it's being processed. Your package has not yet been recovered, but every effort is being made to locate your items. So this is a follow-up they sent me before. I didn't send them an update saying we're still looking for it. They're still looking for it. How do you misplace 2 game books? The addresses, their number. Yeah. It's like how does this happen?
And that's the fault of the U.S. Postal Service, unfortunately.
Right.
Well, the books in question that we're talking about, and again, I want to stress this is from the U.S. Postal Service. This is not their fault. We're talking about these 2 books right here.
Okay.
These are pretty cool. If you haven't checked them out, I do recommend them because I have, and these are pretty cool. If you're kind of looking for that old school World of Darkness thing before they started kind of screwing it up, this is a great replacement. These are, in my opinion, the only 2 books you really need, and you're off, man. You're doing it to it. Did you get the PDFs though? That's the question I want.
I can double check. I haven't. I'm pretty sure I got the PDFs because I think you get those immediately.
Yeah.
Those are electronically delivered.
Yeah, and that's the other part that I did want to bring up was, some of these people you buy directly from them. Like I know those are games for sure. Goodman Games, Necrotic Gnome via Exalted Funeral. If you buy the books, you buy the physical books, they will just give you the PDFs right there, and they do it from their own hosting services. I know.
Yeah, just to say people, we can't do it automatically for Lulu, but if someone buys the book on Lulu and wants the ebook, just contact Miguel.
Oh,
And that's how Zozer Games does it. I'm still waiting for my PDF copies of Zaibatsu, Orbital Platforms, Alien Breeds, and Synthetics. But it's one guy. I think it's like one or two guys running the site, so I'm not freaking out about it. They'll come in time. But anyway, like with Venger, you can buy direct, and again, he gives you the PDFs with the physical books. And right now they're on sale for $130, I think, shipped. St. Cloud is definitely one of my favorites too. I have the original and the new one in PDF. I have the original in hard copy. I love that book. It's awesome. I got that from the Basic Expert, who also just started his own website. You can now buy from him directly. You can buy from Red Room. Venger put up Crimson Dragon Slayer D20 over at Big Geek Emporium. Big Geek Emporium, I firmly stand by them. My boycott on Drive-Thru RPG, I'm going to say, is very firm. I found out
you did the thing.
I said this before, and like if my copy of White Star gets ruined, I'll go to the PDF, and sad day for me. But World War II Operation White Box, I found I can get that on Lulu, and I was like, yes, okay, so I don't have to worry about that one. That was the one I was really worried about. But
you unfortunately named them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so Paul's in Australia at the moment with his family, so totally understand. He'll get to me in due time, I imagine. St. Cloud was the first physical purchase of Red Room books. My first was actually the PDF of Wretched Bastards and I think Daughters of Darkness.
Well, obviously I want people to buy Red Room stuff because you should buy Red Room stuff. You should buy Red Room stuff because you want it and because you enjoy it. But I will point out for people who are interested, it is the 15th of April until the 25th. They are still offering a promotion. Not only can you get the Wretched RPG for free, but if you buy something in their store from them, you might get a T-shirt or a physical copy of the Wretched RPG, or what was it? A sticker?
There's Geek Emporium.
Yeah. Okay. Which is totally worth it.
Sorry, I have to drop off. I just got a service call. It was a pleasure meeting you, Miguel and Sylvia. Joe and Raven, I'll see you guys maybe next time you do this.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys and Venger are welcome on any time.
Right, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Take it easy, Kyle.
All right, later.
Yep.
Daughters of Excellent, it works well and is it says Daughters of Darkness is excellent and works well with Wretched New Flesh. I'm big fan of that one too. And the cover art by the Basic Expert is just phenomenal.
I mean,
this really goes out there.
I mean, matter of point, I recently for research bought Tears of Belphegor as a PDF. And I was like, okay, I'm going to thumb through this. I'm going to get the pieces I need, and then I'll put it down. And it's like, no, it's full of really interesting stuff. Not just about Paris and the Paris catacombs, right? But like actual historical and biblical contexts to the worship of Belphegor. There's a lot of stuff about Canaan in there, and I'm like, wow, this is deep.
Yeah, Whelan, if you buy anything off of the site, that's an entry into like a drawing for free T-shirts and all kinds of other really cool swag. So I would say definitely do that.
Start promoting that again more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. You will be. We have the orders, and the people will be selected automatically.
And here's the thing: one of my absolute favorites in the entire Wretchedverse was this one. I love this because I am a big fan of grindhouse movies. I would love to see sort of like a crossover between this and Chalt.
I mean,
that would be freaking awesome.
Well, I mean, you know what that would be, right? That's just Flash Gordon in Chalt.
It just happens to be one of my favorites. And the reason my books look so good is because I spend most of my time reading the PDFs. And it's like I bring my tablet almost everywhere. So any kind of downtime I get, unless I'm home or I'm running a game, I break out the tablet and use that. And it's worked so well. It's worked pretty well so far. But I have my books here.
Well, the unfortunate part is, Wolfgar, is you live on the East Coast, and Miguel and Sylvia live in Portugal, and you guys are the kinds of friends, assuming we're all friends here, that would totally be down for let's watch bad movie night, where we're gonna have popcorn and watch Ice Pirates. Okay, yeah. I have tried to show Ice Pirates to my friends, and they look at me like I've grown a second head because they can't understand why this movie is great, even though it has Ron Perlman and Angelica Houston in it. Even though it is a wonderful spoof of low-budget Star Wars, even though it comes from that very specific time, and I mean, come on, who doesn't love space herpes? I mean, I don't want them. I would
like it to get it.
Yeah, I don't want them, but I absolutely enjoy that setting. And quite frankly, in my list of suggested films for Blood Knights of the 13th Millennium is Ice Pirates, expressly because I like the idea that ships are so fragile that you can't shoot guns on them, so you bring melee weapons to boarding actions. That's brilliant. I love the idea of robot soldiers with swords. Let's go. Let's do it.
You know what? This is another one I mentioned Apocalypse and Darkness. This is another one I need in print. And that one, I happen to agree. And it's a good thing I did not pull the trigger on Cult, because after the info I got on it, I was kind of like, oh. But this one, as I understand it, does it really well. It's still updated into the modern world, so you can still do that kind of thing. And if you want to go satirical with it, you can. And that kind of circling back to Chalt is extremely satirical.
This is the one we want. Well, this is not the game, but it's first edition.
Yeah, first edition. I love the first and maybe second edition versions of games, because quite honestly,
it's very interesting, the layout of it and the art, but the content is not exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I have done some very light playtesting of the Red Ministries, and when it's ready, like when I've got it in a workable format, my plan has been to gather up people, either my pals or you, Wolfgar, or look at Miguel and Sylvia with big begging eyes and be like, "Can I run a game?" and basically play test on stream the Red Ministries so people can see it in play, and so that Wretched Darkness can get more attention, because I think it needs more eyeballs on it.
And here's this one. The Metropolis Guidebook is the Greyhawk campaign of the original Cult.
Yeah, these two books are probably as good as the core book itself. The Metropolis it's almost a guide to Metropolis, and this is cults and the entities and all that.
Actually, I do have a weird question for you guys. Just because it's a weird thing that came up. And you don't comment in book one way or the other. I don't think there's actually a problem, but I'm just curious as to your thoughts. Is the character class of Femme Fatale sexed? as written by mechanics and of course the name, the implication is that it's female characters. But I had a dude who wanted to play a femme fatale as a dude, and I don't have a problem with it.
But it should be what is it in Fallout? They call femme fatale, and there's one for the perk for the men. I don't remember what it is.
But I don't think it has anything to do with the femme fatale. It's simply different. It's entirely different, I think. But
It will be a gigolo or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Right?
hardcore hunk.
Ladies man, no, it's ladies man. Yeah.
Oh, ladies man. Okay. And
Well,
here's and this is an interesting fact, kind of going back to those first and second edition days. And I've mentioned this before, but for those who didn't catch it, one of I think it was like maybe the second Vampire the Masquerade game I ever played. There was a guy who was part of our group playing a female character, and I remember taking a smoke break with him. We just kind of broke for a few, and we're hanging out on my porch where it was just me and him. And I was like, hey, I got a question. Why a female character? And he's like, we start discussing like real life for a minute. Turns out he worked security, same as I did, but the type of security he worked was way different. I worked in a prison. He worked like actually guarding something. And then he said, I've got a lot of responsibilities. I've got I have to make, command decisions all the time. He goes, with this, I don't have to. And he goes, and that's why. And I was like, okay. And might I mention, this was like one of the biggest black guys I've ever seen. So when he's sitting in on a game of Vampire the Masquerade and he's playing this, beautiful vampire woman, I didn't question it after that. I just wanted to know why. And when he answered it, I was like, all right, I totally got you. That was kind of cool. And yeah, man, it's like Jack's reading my mind here. Went right to it. And he was one of the deadliest players. I mean, this guy he got a lot of lucky dice rolls. He did not lose a lot of humanity drinking up other people, including other vampires when they crossed him. So, or crossed her, the character. I'm not going to misgender the character there. But yeah, he's one of our deadliest players. I love having him at the table.
That character's emotions are so important. How dare you misgender them?
Ultimate boss. So anyway, my wife is a bloodthirsty player. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, it's true. It's 100% true. There's this young woman I know. Her name is Kathy. She is sweet. She is lovable. She is very, very nice. And she used to work HR. So she's really good at interpersonal management, making people feel comfortable, hearing their problems, right? She's one of the best coordinators in the club when I was a member of the White Wolf fan club, right? I introduced her to Magic the Gathering Arena like an idiot. And she is cutthroat. Okay, and I thought, okay, she just doesn't mess around in like card games. It'd be fine.
You illustrated that with HR.
Right. So then we played Rogue Trader, right? And she ended up being the Rogue Trader. She's insane. She is so insane in the role-playing environment. And all of her friends looked at me and said, Joe, this is Kathy. This is what she do. You didn't know. You didn't know. We let you set this up because we thought it was funny. And I'm like, you bastards. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. My character was the second in command because I didn't want to be the captain. I thought it was rude for me to be the captain, being the player with the most experience. I'll let a newbie be captain, right? Right? And she's like, well, how do I captain? And I'm like, well, you have to put on airs. You have to perform. So, you buy things that are not for sale and things that are exorbitant, and you go on trips and you be rich and powerful. She's like, okay. So she decided she needed new shoes, right? So she started harvesting the children from our ship as sacrifices to make her shoes. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, you said I had to get things that are hard to get. It's like, no, I don't mind that you needed shoes. I don't even mind that you needed children's shoes. Why our crew? We could have bought them from somewhere else. Right? Right? So I'm like, tell the men, no more child sacrifices. None of this. Those children are a vital component of the ship's future because they have to learn a role, right? The one time we do a space jump without sacrificing children for the captain's shoes. We suffer a catastrophic warp jump, and we almost lose the ship. The crew, superstitious backward savages that they are, decided that the sacrifices were necessary. They incorporated them into ship culture. My captain wears baby shoes out of crewmen for good luck, and Kathy thought this was hilarious.
In response, I'm just going to go with a Big Lebowski quote. Jesus.
I know, right?
You'll say that name. Nobody fucks with Jesus.
It is 100% true. I have found that female players, and I'm sorry if this is offensive, female players are more bloodthirsty, more random, and more likely to engage in the most base, awful, and horrifying activities than dudes. And
Yeah.
I think,
The world would be peaceful if women rule the world.
yeah, I think it has a lot to do with all of the social expectations put on women to like be feminine and restrained and like very polite, right? So like in the game environment where they can cut loose, they just go completely out the window.
It's like looking at a female player and going, we were kind of expecting that you'd be a little nicer, maybe a little more delicate, and they're just that Bugs Bunny meme. No. Yeah, look at Sylvia. Look at Sylvia's Adventures in Dungeons. We have. That's why we buy them.
She wrote a book about a haunted vagina.
And upon seeing the cover image, I was like, somebody watched Wicked City this week.
There could be a follow-up to that one day. Yeah, there could be a follow-up.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I think the princess is going to oppose her father and do like a civil war or something like that. So
My girl's exactly the same way. She comes across as sweet, shy, and kind. But put her in a game and she is often the one who commits the most atrocious acts.
This is also as a GM why sometimes I'm not unpleasant. Okay, but I'm like very no bullshit with female players.
Oh my god!
It's because I know that female players can play. I know that they can play and play very well. Some of the best players I've ever had have been women, right? But I do run into those young ladies that they didn't come to play; they came to hang out with their boyfriend, right? Because he's going off and doing things without me, so I need to be there. Right, yeah. And they either are just there to watch him to make sure he's not like flirting with other women, right? Or, and this is the bad one in my opinion, they know that nerds are like thirsty, and they like the idea of being the pretty woman next to desperate men, right? And it's like I don't care how pretty you are, or how pretty you think you are. You came to my game. Please participate. The more times I have to stop and say, what do you want to do? And you go, I don't know. Drives me up the wall.
Well, have you ever seen Moots play?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, she's hopefully going to be in the Horde Wars game tonight. I don't know. I know she said she wanted to be here for this podcast, but I don't know. I sent her the invite link, haven't heard back from her. But in any case, the first time I got her into like a basic fantasy one shot, she, of course, this is her first game ever, and I had a sort of NPC companion for her that she had to pick, and she was picking from like a retired cleric. There was a magic user who, I randomly rolled and found out, okay, well, she can't. When she invited her, I was like, well, she can't pick her because she can't leave where she is due to the limits of her magic and her age. And she ended up picking this guy and bailing him out of jail, but just because he was like this big, fierce warrior guy who, again, he's kind of aging, but he's still, he's still starting fights. That's what landed him in there.
He's got that adventurer dad bod.
Oh no, he did not. Not in the least. Not in the least. She picked him, and she ended up having to save his ass a couple times. So we're both kind of playing. I'm running him. She's running her character. Out of both characters, he was the one that got the most beat up. She was like kicking serious ass, like honestly. And she had no idea what she was doing. I was practically having to talk her through most of the stuff until she got her feet under her. And she was out there just like whipping ass. And I'm like, dude, this is amazing to watch. Like I couldn't get enough of it. It was awesome. But when she plays, once she gets her feet under her, she's probably one of the most fierce, I think she's playing like a sort of a paladin or so, like what I'm playing right now. I'm playing someone from like a religious order. She's playing someone from the same religious order. And once she gets her feet under her, she starts like I'll say this, she's diplomatic to a point, but once diplomacy's over and done with and it goes nowhere, it's like, out come the swords, let's start the fucking engines. And I'm like, this is amazing to watch.
Venger
her RP is awesome.
Venger is my man as he shouts, "Ice pirates!"
Question for the Red Room: do you sell your T-shirts, and if so, do you have shirts with different Wretched covers? The answer to that is, I know they do.
Yeah.
I just don't have the website. Give me the website. We'll post that in the link below. But yes,
Yeah, but Miguel was ordering them, and I just said, "Well, just let's just do a Redbubble, and then we order our own. And if someone wants to buy them, yeah, they're there."
I still have to see that one. Ice Pirates and Space Truckers. I still have to see those. I did finally see Dark Star.
Wait a minute. You have never seen Ice Pirates?
I've never seen it, but to me, it looked pretty good.
All right. Pick a day. Pick a time. You and I are gonna make one of these, either private or we can't really stream it, but we'll either just you and me or we'll grab some people. I have Ice Pirates on this machine.
Oh no shit!
I have Ice Pirates right now. We can watch Ice Pirates at any time.
I'm down for that. Actually, what I want to do is I want to watch it. I'm pretty sure I can catch it on one of my streaming services, so I'll watch it here because I think I'm going to go for my 2-hour walk today. Okay. And then when I get back, because I know my feet and my knees are going to be like, you are not 18 anymore. Stop this. And so I'll be checking that out. Let's see what we got in the private chat. Here we go. Redbubble. Boom. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it right into the description once this thing's all said and done, which I've just found out we have 3 minutes. Wow. Holy shit. Here, I was going to
mention that we're coming up on the time.
And just before we close this out, I'll start to close it out. As a matter of fact, running Cyberpunk Red for the lady today. Oh boy, that's going to be funny. I've seen Space Truckers, but not Ice Pirates. Definitely love a shirt with the epic cover. Yeah, definitely. I really need to get that Wretchploitation T-shirt because that's definitely one of my favorites of the games.
Everything you need to know about Ice Pirates is dudes in space afros getting castrated because they're space eunuchs. Oh. And there's a robo pimp. There's a robot pimp with bling. He's covered in neon and speaks with a characteristic accent. It's very wretched. It's an extremely wretched game.
Or movie. But anyway, next week, or not next week, a couple weeks from now, we've talked about this. There was someone on Twitter who brought this up. They said they've seen where I've talked about working in a prison, and they wanted to ask me questions. I was like, you know what? Let's just do an AMA. I'll be doing that the next podcast. So a couple weeks from now. So got plenty of time to start writing down all your questions and getting those set aside. I'm going to be answering them right from over here in the chat. I think I'm pointing in the right direction. It's over here in the chat. There you go. So I'll be answering them straight from the chat, and there may be some things I'm not really allowed to talk about. So if I say that I just can't talk about it, it's for a good reason. Obviously, we've had a lot go on in there, guys. It was like close to a decade I worked in there, and the only reason I quit was because I was moving and I couldn't take that job with me. So That's what we'll be doing next podcast. So hopefully it gives you some ideas, because literally for a decade I was doing a dungeon crawl as a job. If you want to think of it that way, it was a literal dungeon crawl. And lots of 20s, lots of fails, lots of successes everywhere. Anything else you guys want to say before we close out of here?
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. Anytime. This is just as much your home as it is mine.
Yeah, we actually love having you guys. You're always wonderful to be with, and always have interesting things to say.
And kids.
And kids, yeah.
It's everywhere.
They've been bothering
And
us.
right here, Miguel and Sylvia reach out to Shadow and Sun. They would like to talk with you as well. And they have a great podcast too. I definitely highly recommend checking them out. In the meantime, everyone,
they're on Discord, right?
I mean, I'm stunned we get Nerd Cognito in here. He should grab Miguel and Sylvia for his thing as well.
We were there.
Yeah, we were there.
Oh, nice.
When we were kicked out of
nice.
Of course.
I've never been. I'm not that famous.
You have to be kicked out of drive-thru.
Yeah.
But anyway, check out Chalt. You can go to Venger's website. I'm going to have that listed. It's actually a blog, and I'm following it. So check out the blog down below. You can get all 3 hardcover books plus PDFs for about $130. If you can't do it all in one shot, just buy a book at a time.
I'm missing the third one. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've shown off the quality in the last podcast we did 2 weeks ago. Check that out if you haven't already. Red Room. I'm putting their link in the description down below too, because they have a Chalt tie-in game that you need to check out. And also $20 a month, you can subscribe to their website and get their releases and access to beta releases and all kinds of other cool stuff too. Definitely check out Big Geek Emporium, link description down below. I'll be putting that there because I didn't have the foresight to put it there the first time. So I'm going to go back, edit that to have those links in there, and check out wherever you can buy direct. If you want to buy from independent artists, definitely support Big Geek Emporium. And as I like to say, love you guys. Love you all, one and all. Take care of yourselves and each other. Always play what lights you up, and as always, play on. Bye.